Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Now we are moving to chapter 7, user interface, input and output design. So this chapter explains how to design an effective user interface and how to handle data input, output and security issue. Okay, in this chapter, we have three objectives. Okay, and for part 1 video, I will cover user interface design first. Okay, as usual, before we move to a new chapter, I will recap the software development life cycle phases, right? So as you can see in this diagram, you are now still in phase 3, system designs, right? And you have done cover phase 1 and phase 2, which are system planning and system analysis. Okay, so in the third phase, we have cover physical design, which is in this phase you have learned about data design in chapter 6, and now we are moving to chapter 7, user interface, input output design, right? So we recap the phase 3 of SDLC, which is the purpose of this phase is to create a blueprint, which is technical drawing, that will satisfy all documented requirements which cover input, outputs, and processes. So in this phase, you have been given a task to do a system development design, SDD, right? So I hope you know you are in which phase and do the right things for your group assignment, alright? Okay, after the logical model is constructed, right, systems analysts turn their attention to the physical design, okay, which is where you are now. And a key design element is the user interface. Okay, a user interface describes how users interact with computer systems and consists all hardware, software, screens, menus, functions, output, and features that affects two-way communications between the user and the computer. Okay. Okay, as information management evolved from centralized data processing to dynamic, which is enterprise-wide systems, the primary focus also shifted from the IT department to the users themselves. Okay, this is what we call user-centered system. So, in a user-centered system, um, the distinction blurs between input, output, and the interface itself. So all tasks require interaction with the computer system, and the user interface become important element in the system design phase. All right. So the user interface design requires an understanding of a human-computer interaction and a user-centered design principle. Okay, human-computer interaction. Okay, HCI describes the relationship between computers and people who use them to perform business-related tasks. Okay, so for example, IBM used its Almaden computer science research sites to focus on users and how they experience the technology. And IBM traces the history and evolution of a human-computer interface, which is beginning with users typing complex commands in green text on a black screen through the introduction of the graphical user interface. And Dr. Claire Mary Carrat states that in this new computer age, the customer is not only right, the customer has rights. Okay. The user rights cited by Dr. Karat includes The first one is a perspective, which is the user always is right. If, for example, there is a problem with the use of system, the system is the problem, not the user. Okay, so the second one is installation. Okay, for example, the user has the right to install and uninstall software and hardware systems easily without negative consequences. Okay, compliance, meaning that the user has the right to a system that performs exactly as promised. Okay, instruction, the user has the right to easy to use instructions, which is by having a user guides online or can contextual help, right? Okay, control, the user has the right to be in control of the systems and to be able to get the system to respond to a request for attention. Okay, um, feedback, uh, the user has the right to to a system that provides clear, understandable, and accurate information regarding the task it is performing and the progress towards completion. Okay, dependency, the user has the right to be informed clearly about all the system's requirements for successfully using software or hardware. Okay, the scope, the user has the right to know how the limits of the system's capabilities. Okay, assistance, the user has the right to communicate with the technology provider and receive a thoughtful and helpful response when raising concerns. Okay, usability, the user should be the master of software and hardware technology, not vice versa, which means products should be natural to use. Okay, these are the user rights cited by Dr. Karat with the explanation. Okay, now basic principles of user-centered design. Um, Although IT professionals sometimes have different views about interface design, but most of them would agree that good design depends on seven basic principles, uh, which is start with the interface design must understand the underlying business function, which is how the system support individual, departmental, and enterprise goals, uh, with the overall objective is to design an interface that helps users to perform their job. Okay, so the second one is maximize graphical effectiveness. Okay, okay, many studies show that people learn better visually. So that's mean a well-designed interface can help users learn a new systems rapidly and become more productive. Okay, the third one is profile the system's user. Okay, to design, this is to design the layout based on a user's profile. Okay, the fourth one is think like a user. So to develop a user-centered interface, the designer must learn to think like a user and see the system through a user's eyes. Okay, uh, the fifth one is use prototyping. Okay, this is important because to construct models and prototype for user approval, an interface designer should obtain as much feedback as possible as early as possible. Okay, usually you can present initial screen designs to user in a form of, for example, a storyboard. Okay, maybe in a sketch form, just to show the screen layout and design. Okay, users must tell us all aspects of the interface design by providing feedback to the designer. Okay, and user input can obtain by from the interviews, okay, maybe by questionnaires or by observations, okay, and usability metrics will be used to quantify the usability of a system. Okay, next is design a comprehensive interface. Okay, this is about the user interface should include all tasks, commands, and communications between users and the information system. For example, each screen option leads to another screen with more option. Okay. Okay, continue to the feedback process. Okay, even after the system is operational, it is important to monitor system usage and get user suggestion. Okay, for example, by getting a user feedback and or provide help screens that might need a revision and design changes to allow the system to reach its full potential. Okay. So the last one is document the interface design. Okay, you should document all screen designs for later use by programmers. Okay, guidelines for user interface design. Basically, it is important to design a user interface that is easy to use, attractive, and efficient. So when you create user interface, you should follow eight basic guidelines, which is the first one is focus on basic objectives. Okay, build an interface that is easy to learn and use, provide features that promote efficiency, make it easy for users to obtain help or correct errors, minimize input data problems, provide feedback to users, create an attractive layout and design, and the last one is use familiar terms and images. Okay, so a good user interface design is based on a combination of ergonomics, aesthetics, and interface technology. Ergonomics describes how people work, learn, and interact with the computer. Okay, aesthetic focused on how an interface can be made attractive and easy to use, and interface technology provides the operational structure required to carry out the design objectives. Okay. Okay, now we go details on each guidelines. So number one is focus on basic objectives, which you have to facilitate the system design objectives. Okay, create a design that is easy to learn and remember. Design the interface to improve user efficiency and productivity, and write commands, action, and system response that are consistent and predictable. Okay, the second one, build an interface that is easy to learn and use. So you have to label clearly all controls, buttons, and icons. Okay, select only those images that a user can understand easily. Okay, provide on-screen instruction that are logical, concise, and clear, and show all commands in a list of menu items. Okay, provide features that promote efficiency. You have to organize tasks, commands, and functions in groups that resemble actual business operations. Okay, to create alphabetical menu lists, by provide shortcuts so experienced users can avoid multiple menu levels. Okay, use default values if the majority of values in a field are the same. Okay. Okay, and number four, make it easy for users to obtain help or correct errors by ensure that help is always available. Okay, to provide a user selected help and context sensitive help. Okay, to provide a direct route for users to return to the point from where help was requested, and include contact information. Okay, number five, minimize input data problems. Okay, to provide data validation check um, by using data validation rules, which limits the acceptable values that users can enter. Okay, to display event-driven messages and reminders. Okay, for example, when you exit the system, a message might ask users if they want a printed report of the data entered during the recent session. Next is by establish a list of predefined values that users can click to select. Okay, for example, the input screen displays a list of acceptable values, and the user simply points and click the choice. To build in rules that enforce data integrity. Okay, this one, for example, if the user tries to enter an order for a new customer, the customer must be added before the system will accept the order data. Okay, last one is use input mask. Okay, number 6, provide feedback to user. Okay, by display message at a logical place on the screen. Okay, alert user to lengthy processing times or delays. Allow messages to remain on the screen long enough for users to read them, and let the user know whether the task or operation was successful or not. Okay. 7, create an attractive layout and design. Okay, by using an appropriate colors to highlight different areas of the screen. Okay, use special effects sparingly uh, by using hyperlinks that allows users to jump to related topics and group related objects and information. Okay. 8, use familiar terms and images. You have to remember that users are accustomed to a pattern of red equal to stop, yellow equal to caution, and green equal to go, right? So you have to stick to that pattern and use it when appropriate to reinforce on-screen instruction. Okay, we have to provide a keystroke alternative for each menu command. Okay, with easy to remember letters such as file you are using F, exit using E, and help using H. Okay, you also have to use familiar commands if possible, such as cut, copy, and paste, and to provide a Windows look and feel in your interface design if users are familiar with Windows-based application. Okay, so the code of this video is 3890. Okay, now user interface controls. Okay, basically the designer can include many features of user interface control. For example, menu bar, commonly at the top of the screen, which display the main menu options, right? Okay, some forms also use a toolbar that contains icons or buttons that represent shortcuts for executing common commands, right? And a command button initiates an action such as printing a form or requesting help, right? You can also use a dialog box, which allows a user to enter information about a task that the system will perform. Okay, and using a text box, which displays messages or provide a place for a user to enter data, and a toggle button used to represent on or off status. Okay, you also can use list box, which displays a list of choices that the user can select. And if the list does not fit in the box, you also can use a scroll bar that allows the user to move through the available choices. Okay, uh, you can use a drop down list box which displays the current selection. Okay, for example, when user clicks the arrow, a list of the available choices will be displayed. Okay, you can use an option button or radio button, which represent one choice in a set of options, where user can select only one option at a time, and select option show a black dot, right? Okay, you also can use a checkbox to select one or more choices from a group. Okay, uh, and also a calendar control that allows the user to select a date that the system will be used as a field value, right? And the last one is by using a switchboard. Okay. Okay, this is the example of user interface controls. Okay, basically, a screen design requires a sense of aesthetic as well as technical skills. Okay, aesthetic, as I mentioned in a previous slide, it is focused on how an interface can be made attractive and easy to use. So you should design screens that are attractive, easy to use, and workable. All right. I think that's all for part one video for chapter 7. Uh, I'll see you in the next video. Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.